Programming with Python. That is your first program with Python, maybe. That video is an introduction to Python programming. You can program, what I'm going to teach in that video, you can program it on Linux or Windows. But for the demonstration, I'm going to use Termux on cell phone because many of you want to learn programming on Termux, especially a guy I talked recently. He's from Nigeria, and he have a mini phone, and he wants you to learn programming or in computer sciences. Let's start with our first Python. I'm going to use Termux like I told. When you log into Termux, you have a welcome screen like this, and you already have on that welcome screen the instruction to install a package. Installation of package. If I'm trying to do Python here, Python does not exist, and I have the ability to do package install Python. If you don't remember because you no longer have the welcome screen, by typing the command, it provides you the command to install Python. pkg install Python. Termux is looking on the internet and every repo already in place in my Termux, and my Termux is a vanilla one, so no customization. And Python has been installed successfully. Now if I try Python, I'm in Python, so everything works fine. Control D to get out of this. I put in place already a program in my Python directory. Going into download folder. So I set up an object, okay, a class object that you can see right here. CL Python, it's a CL Loto, sorry, .py. It's a class. I just named my file like that, CL Loto. I'm going to use a lottery system to explain Python to you, because many of you have heard about a lottery system where you choose your number, and let's imagine that you want to develop something for you to generate some random number for you because you want to play those numbers. So just an example, I create a class, and this is my main file. This is a cache Python use. You never play in this cache folder. It's Python play with it, okay? Let's go in that class Loto. First of all, Python, it's an oriented object programming language. OOP, oriented object programming language. And I'm going to teach you what is an object. So when you define a class, you create the definition of an object. My object is going to be, the name will be Loto ticket. This is the class of the object name. I'm going to import libraries or function or method about random numbers. So Python have many libraries where you can import things from it, so you don't have to program everything. There is already some function or doing random numbers, and I will use some variables in my code. This is the way I declare, and I put indentation. Important things in Python, the indentation, you may use space or tabulation, but take care. If you choose spaces, you always need to use spaces for your indentation. If you choose tabulation, always do tabulation for your indentation. Never mix both of them, because sometimes you're gonna have some error, and you will find you will search for that error, and it's hard to find sometimes. In my demonstration, I use two space. This is my indentation. I did not use the tabulation. I declare my variables. I'm going to use one array to remember the number chosen randomly. I'm going to put that in an array. So I'm just defining the variable I'm going to use in my program. I declare a flag that will be a Boolean flag, just to see if the ticket I'm trying to generate is valid or not. Yeah, we're gonna see later what is a valid ticket, what is a non-valid ticket. It's a program. I'm just thinking and defining my object, and I'm gonna use those variables to help me play with my program in that object. I'm gonna have a abacus minimum number. So when the lottery system will draw something tonight, I know the minimum number in the abacus of that lottery system is 1, and the maximum number is 90. So when I'm gonna generate a random number, it should be between 1 and 90. If it's another lottery and the maximum number is 49, you just have to put maximum number is 49. That will be a number generated between 1 and 49. Actually, we don't generate any random. We're just defining some variables we're going to use in our program. And when I play that lottery, I'm using actually, I have to choose minimum 2 number and a maximum of 5 number. This is the rules that has been implemented by my lottery instance in my country. So this is the variables I'm going to use. In Python, when you create an object, every time, it's not only in Python, by the way, when you create an object, the object trigger a constructor. A constructor is the first function where you have the opportunity to initialize or to do what's going on very first time the object is created. In Python, the name of that constructor is name underscore underscore init underscore underscore. And Python always pass to a function the object himself, and maybe you have the opportunity if you want to put a second argument. In my case, I decided to put a second argument that will be the number of my selection, the number of numbers, in fact. Do I want to play a 2 numbers ticket, or do I want to play a 5 numbers ticket? My first initialization is to, when I use self, it means my object, myself, my global variable called array numbers that I just put here, array numbers, equal. In fact, I do the same thing. I already initialize here, but I want every time an object is created, I want to start with an empty array. And just to make sure everything is empty, my array is empty. I just starting the object. I just create the object. In fact, I want to do that when I create the object. Selection len is a parameters or an argument I'm gonna pass to my object creation. If the argument is greater or equal to self min play, self refer to the object, and min play is equal to 2. That means if the selection length is greater or equal to 2 and lower or equal to 5, so if it's in between 2 and 5, including 2 and 5, generate random number with the number of numbers. So if I said 3, you're going to generate 3 number randomly. We're going to see that function later. We call that a method here. We're going to see the method just right after. And then I said, okay, this is a valid ticket. That ticket is valid because I have a number between 2 and 5, and I'm going to generate numbers, 2 to 5 numbers from 1 to 90. If I put something else than 2 or 3 or 5, that will be an invalid ticket, because my lottery rules, like you remember, do not allow me to play 273 numbers. By the way, that it's impossible. So this is an invalid ticket. And I cannot play 0 numbers, and I cannot play only 1 number. Anything outside of 2 to 5 will be an invalid ticket. I just set up the things when I'm going to create my object, and it will be triggered. That will be done. Because we can call generate R&D number. The generate R&D number is here. The definition is right there. And this is what I'm going to do when I said generate an R&D number. And I give him an argument. So self, it's the usual argument, the object himself. And I give him the selection length. That will be the number of number I want. I'm going to initialize my array. I know I already did it. I did it when the object has been created. But maybe the user do something else with the object. It's not a linear programmation here. It's object-oriented. If the user did something with the object that I don't know, I just want to make sure when he generates a random number, I always start with an empty array. The way to empty an array is just doing it that way. Preparing the seed. The seed, it's a number where you're going to start with your random generator. I'm going to explain to you later that a computer is having difficulties with random number. In fact, random number, it's a mathematic calculation based on something. If you start at the same time, you have the same random number. But we're gonna come back later on that. I start with seed number 1. That will be my loop. A loop, it's a way to reduce the code. We don't have to write. If I have to do something 500 times, I don't want to write 500 lines. I just do a loop and do this 500 times. In our case, we want to do that NB times. NB times is the number that I need to generate for my ticket. I need 2 numbers, I'm going to do that 2 times. I need 5 numbers, I'm going to do that 5 times. So this is why I need NB, the number of number, and I'm going to do that from 1 to this amount of numbers. And what I'm going to do, I need to indent, some indentation right here. Everything indented under the 4 is going to be part of the loop. Random number equal random and integer, because I don't want to use, I cannot generate a number like 2.68. I should have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's an integer number that I need, and I need that integer number in the range of the abacus minimum. So if you remember, it's 1, and the abacus maximum, if you remember, it's 90. That's gonna generate a random number from 1 to 90. And when the number will be generated, the number will be put in a variable called R&D number. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to use array number, and I'm gonna happen this number I just generated, I'm gonna happen that number to my array. My array was empty, so now I have one random number in my array. The next time, I'm gonna happen the second number in my array, and a third one, fourth and fifth one, and so on until I reach the maximum NB. My array is happened random number all the time. We're gonna see that execution of that later on. I create another method. I call it show numbers, because if I generate a random number, maybe I'm gonna display something. This is a show function I set up. The only thing I check if it's a valid ticket. If it's true, this is a valid ticket. We are playing with a valid ticket. I will just send on the screen, your ticket is playing the following numbers. And I'm gonna look how many number there is in my array. Did I happen 2 number? Did I happen 5 number? But anyway, any number of numbers I put in my array, that will be a loop for all of them. If I have 2 number, if the length of this is return me 2, I'm gonna print those 2 number. And I don't want a line feed every time. I just put a space. I'm gonna put 1 number, space, 1 number, space, 1 number. And at the end, I'm gonna print a line feed. That instruction just print a line feed. In fact, I print nothing, and I did not happen and equal, so it's gonna print a line feed right after. That will be execute if valid ticket equal true. But if valid ticket equal false, so it's not true, else, I will just print your ticket is not valid. I cannot print any numbers because we did not generate any numbers. That ticket is simply invalid. And that's all. This is my object. My object is 57 line. So I have 77 line of code here, including spaces and comment. I know when we begin programming 57 line, it's a pretty long code, but when you're going to be intermediate or expert, you should evaluate that as a really small code. Just to refresh, because I said many things, I'm going to stop with this object right after, but just recapitulate that, a refresh. I include random function. So all I need to do random things, I import that library. I declare my object or my class. I just prepare my variables that I'm going to use in that program. This is the array. This is a flag. My ticket is invalid or not. I just set up what is the minimum abacus maximum. What is the minimum rules of playing ticket in that lottery, and what is the maximum rules, maximum 5 numbers, and so on. This is a constructor, just to refresh you. Self argument is the object himself, the address of the object, so I can play with my own object in that function or in that method. Selection len, this is a parameter I'm gonna provide when I'm gonna create my object. Self array, I just clean up the array. I check if the argument I give to that method is between 2 and 5. If it's between 2 and 5, it's a valid ticket. And because it's a valid ticket, I'm going to generate numbers. Else, it's not a valid ticket, and I won't generate any number. When I'm going to be ready to generate number, this is the way to generate number. I start with a fresh array, no item in it. I prepare my seed to 1, and I'm using a loop. Choose a random number from 1 to 90, and put that in random number variable, and happen that random number to my array. Choose another number, happen that number to my array. Choose another one, happen it to my array. My last method, show numbers. This is a report I'm gonna display to the user. If it's a valid ticket, I'm gonna display the report like this. Your ticket is playing the following numbers, and I'm gonna print all the numbers. If it's not a valid ticket, I will just display your ticket is not valid, and that's all. Let's go to the main program. This is my main program. The main program include the class Loto I just did. I just did that class. I show it to you the previous minute. So I have to import my class. I said my ticket equal Loto ticket 2. This is the way to create an object, Loto ticket. And the argument I was telling you to, I want a ticket with 2 numbers. That will create my ticket. And then I said my ticket dot show numbers, that will print the report about my ticket. Let's try this code now, the way to run that code. By the way, I use VI, but maybe some of you prefer Nano. Nano, it's a text editor you can also use. And to exit Nano, you do Control X. You can use the editor you want, it doesn't matter. Python, main, and now I have your ticket is playing the following numbers, 18 and 73. And the program worked fine. The only thing is if I run it again, it generates the same random number. It generates the same random number every time. Go again with main. I will create more line like this. My ticket 1, 2, my ticket 1, 2, 3, and 4, and maybe 5, because I want to buy many ticket. One having 2 number, one with 3, one with 4, one with 5, and one with 8. We're gonna see the ticket number 5 should be an invalid ticket. And the way to display that, my ticket number 1, show the number, my ticket number 2, show the number, and so on and so on. Yes, I want to save. Let's try to execute this code now. Now I have my ticket with 2 numbers right here. I have my ticket with 3 numbers, 4, and 5 number. And this, the last one, your ticket is not valid. But it's always the same random number. We don't want that. And this is because I always start with seed 1. This is one of the errors that happen often. I will go to my class here, and I will choose seed number 5. I'm going to start with seed 5. Now I have new random number, but the problem is it's still the same random number. It's not really random. Unfortunately, a computer is not able to generate random number. But a human have random behavior. Myself, I am the real random input that is good for a random seed. The best way to do a random seed is to use the human behind the keyboard. The human behind the keyboard will never launch the program at the same exact millisecond. If I want to launch the program at the exact millisecond, I won't be able. Every time I'm going to be 1, 2, 3 millisecond too late or too fast. So using that number, it's really a good random number. I'm going to get back to my class. I will do a small modification. I will include from date time. I'm going to import only date time. I don't need everything in this package. And the seed, I won't put a fixed number. A fixed number, you see, doesn't really generate random things. I'm going to do a seed date time dot now. The actual time with millisecond, the year, month, day, hour, minute, second, and millisecond. And with this, it will never be the same seed number. And then I'm gonna have a better random behavior. Let's try that. Now I have 79. It's completely random. Let's launch that script again, that program again. It's new random number. I launch it again. I have new random number, and I have new random number. And now you have a first real good Python program generate a real random number. I hope you enjoyed that demonstration. I hope it's useful for you to start with Python and having classes. I'm going to post the code under that YouTube section where you have the text. You will be able to cut and paste from there. Thank you very much.